Hello, people. I'm Jaby KOAY, joined by ACHARA KIRK.
What's up?
We just finished watching Scam 1992, episode 10, the finale, called Main History Banana Chahta Hoon. Main History Banana Chahta Hoon.
Was it like I make my history?
Yeah. So we have the one-liner from IMDb, or the summary. Delhi strikes a deal with HARSHAD, based on which he withdraws his press statement. Grow more, get back to life, with most of HARSHAD's assets being frozen. However, Bhushan's revelation is soon going to turn HARSHAD's world upside down.
Oh boy.
This is like such a sad story, this whole show, because it's like he went from rags to riches and then spent most of his life trying to defend himself.
Yeah.
And just dodging the CBI and dodging the courts and like just trying to stay alive and survive and like robbing Peter to pay Paul and dodging this thing, dodging this, like dodging bullets all the time, and then ultimately just like dying in the worst possible way.
Well, I think it came out of left field for me because obviously we're learning about HARSHAD MEHTA by watching this show, and I imagine that most of you guys who watched this already knew who he was and know that he died, and so it came as a shock to me at the end when it was like, oh, he's having a heart attack, and like the kind of hopeful part of me is going, no, maybe he's gonna make it, and it's like obviously. Oh no,
the way it was being shot, you just knew he was out.
Yeah, the fireworks in the background, I was like, oh no.
There's a certain way in which you convey in cinema that this person doesn't have any time left. And it was like the slow push, him on the floor with the camera angle, the music, the sound effects and everything like that. It was just like
the look in his eyes.
It's like, this is it.
He called it too. He foreshadowed it. Yeah. And his wife was all like, "Oh, don't say stuff like that."
That was the other thing. Like it was sad. It's a sad story, and it's interesting because this show has a lot of sympathy for this character, right? It's obviously he's the main character. It's showing him as someone to feel empathy for. I was rooting for him this whole show, and it's sad that this is how he went out. Like the cops just dropped him on the bench, and then bounced, and that's where he died. It's like, damn. It's just so dark. That's what I'm left with, is just this horrible feeling of like, oh Lord, that sucks. Like there's no rest for the wicked. Ain't no rest for the wicked is you know, it's just like he never got to rest. It was just constantly battling one legal matter after another.
It's like he made all this money
Yeah.
And didn't really get to enjoy it because after a while, like when all that scam stuff came out and his assets got frozen, it was like he couldn't do any of that. I just really hope that he got to spend some time with his family, you know, but I don't even know if that happened.
Well, the fact of the matter is he died before his mom, which says he had a lot of stress. That stress killed him.
I'm pretty sure, like, just from watching the show, it seemed like it was the stress of being in jail that first time. Because he came out a different man, at least the way the show portrayed it.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, because he went in and he was like all proud and like he even said so himself. He was like all puffed up with pride, and then he came out and he was just deflated. He was a shell of himself because of like the stress and the how awful it was being in jail for so long and not knowing whether he would be able to come out, and the way they treated him, just like case after case after case after case, like let's keep him in jail as long as we can and like stress this guy out.
Yeah, it's really twisted how you end up becoming this like pawn and you realize you're just this cog in the machine. I've like worked in businesses and watched one person throw another person under the bus to save their own ass.
Yeah.
And it's really disturbing when you see that kind of thing. It's like, you know, I don't know. I all I have are feelings, and I don't have any words to articulate them. That's what I'm left with in this moment. It's just there's so much to take away from this show. I don't even know where to start. Let me go back to basics here. I thought that this was a very powerful show.
Yep.
I thought it was very well executed. You know, as this one-off thing, it was really, really well done. It's like a nice little mini-series that it takes you back in time and educates you about this important part of Indian history in the last 30 years. And you go, whoa, okay, like it really sheds some light on assuming that this is all true, because first off, there's artistic licensing to consider, right? And there's also the favoritism towards this character to consider. It's trying to have it even-handed, where it goes, Harshad Mehta did screw up this person's life. It's trying to do that, so it's not showing too much favoritism towards him, but there is favoritism at the end of the day. It's his story.
Well, he's the hero.
He's the hero.
Yeah.
Right? So with all that in mind, you're looking at this important piece of Indian history from the last 30 years and understanding these events that really affected or tried to affect rules in the stock market. And ultimately, there was something really key in that epilogue, which is, and nothing really changed. They still found ways to scam the system, which ain't that the truth. It's like, try to imagine, a crime by the Italian mafia being investigated by the Italian mafia. It's like the people who make the laws it's the rich making the laws for the rich. The rules are made by the rich for the rich, and they're the ones pulling the strings. And so, when you have this person investigating this thing over here, everything's going to be puppeteered in such a way so it doesn't affect the people on top. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I mean, even him coming out with that stuff against the prime minister, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was super ballsy, but I don't know if that really helped him at all, because it seemed like they were still trying to pile cases upon him and make his life miserable until that prime minister went out of power,
If there's anything I learned from the movie The Departed, it's when you start dealing with stuff that could get you in trouble, you start recording all your conversations. You just start recording every single conversation, and that was his flaw. Is he didn't start recording all these conversations when he was...
Yeah, didn't keep all the evidence and everything.
That's what he needed. He needed to document what was happening, and he wasn't doing it. It's like, back then, little audio recorders existed. That's how you busted people. He should have been keeping track of these conversations, because then he would have had more power in fighting these bigger bosses.
I think the thing is, he just thought that he would be immune, and the fact of the matter is, I don't know, just from watching this movie and from just hearing about things, I mean the show, I mean, I say movie because it definitely felt super cinematic, right? It's directed by a movie director. It makes sense, because it really does feel like a film, but you just can't trust the people at the top, especially if you're someone beneath them. Even if you are giving them money or whatever, they'll throw you under the bus first thing if there's wind of you not being a good person to associate with anymore. It's like they're going to cut ties with you first.
You come away with a number of lessons in this show. One of those lessons is family matters a lot.
Yeah.
It's like at the end of the day, his brother had his back.
Yes.
And his brother always had his back. It's like you really got to count your blessings when it comes to your family. You need them at the end of the day. You can have fights all you want and you can have bickering, but at the end of the day, you're going to be relying on them. People will come and go in your life, and anyone can betray you, but your family's always going to be there.
That betrayal by Bhushan was just because he was like family to them. He was so close.
Yes, but Harshad and Ashwin messed up because
they didn't treat him like family.
When you have a network like that, with small or large, you got to make sure that if you're doing anything weird, let's just put it lightly, you got to really make sure you're taking care of the people around you. Yeah. The way it was told to me in the past by someone really close to me is if I'm making $1 million, you're making $1 million. You got to make sure you're taking care of those around you.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. That's where he,
fell short.
Had a downfall. Yeah, because he should have taken care of him more, because he ended up just making him feel disgruntled.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That same person, he would tell me how, I hope this feels related somehow. What he would do is whenever he'd go to, because he used to work at a restaurant, whenever he'd arrive on his shift, he would immediately lace the bussers with money, because he was confident that if he paid them, even before he got paid, if he paid them, they were going to have his back. And as a result, he was making more money because the bussers were on top of all of his tables.
No, that's smart. That's the same type of thinking as walking into a bar and right away just dropping a 20 to your bartender. And then that's it for the rest of the night. You don't even have to wait. You just walk up to the bar and they're like, what are you having?
Right.
you know?
Right. But it's basically, with regards to the example of the restaurant, it's just taking care of those around you. You'll be taken care of too. And so he didn't.
Yeah.
He was reaping the rewards, the benefits of all this stuff. And like, I get it. Like, from his perspective, it's all on his back, really, at the end of the day. It's his thinking. It's his strategy. While other people are naysayers, he's the one who's bringing everybody to the top by cutting through all that and believing in himself, right? Mm-hmm. But you still got to take care of those around you.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's true. It's true. But that was just kind of like a heartbreaking, like, what the F moment, you know, when you realize when Ashwin makes that connection.
Yeah.
And then he comes out and Bhushan's like trying to go away, and there's like this moment of dramatic irony, because I think as the audience we know, we've sussed it out. We're like, oh no, it's him.
Yeah.
But Ashwin in that moment still can't quite believe it.
Yeah.
And they don't even twig until they tell the custodian guy.
Yeah.
And then Bhushan comes in and he's like, why the F did you do that?
Right.
We're all screwed. It's like, oh no, betrayal.
That scene was great.
Yeah. Oh.
That scene was great. That
was uncomfortable.
I like that scene a lot.
It was all shot handheld too.
Yeah. It was a really good scene because all of the things were coming to light. Like, all of this pent up frustration and aggression, which was all foreshadowed early on in the show at the cricket scene when what was his name again? Bhushan arrives at the cricket place and his wife says something like, basically jabs him in the ribs with her little statement, like basically insinuating that he's not an equal, he's not a partner. And then Harshad comes up to him. You remember the scene?
Yeah,
vaguely, and he goes, I forgot what he said, but he goes, you know, I'm a partner. And so I forget exactly what the exchange was, but the intention was Harshad didn't view him as an equal, and he had to be like, no, but I'm your equal.
Right.
And that's not what was said. I'm paraphrasing, but that right there foreshadowed what was to come in the show, which is Bhushan was going to feel slighted. He was going to feel shortchanged, and he was going to do something to get his.
Yeah, and to be fair, like, he wasn't as invested, and when he was being interrogated so harshly by the CBI, is it any wonder that he would have just given up and been like, screw this.
Right.
Like, it's just not worth it. Like, right. I'm not even getting a third.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I get it.
One thing I haven't commented on at all over the course of doing our reviews is the music in this show, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, so good.
The music in this show is great, especially the theme song.
Yeah.
It's just such great music, and I don't know why we haven't commented on it all before, but like, it's just like paying attention to it even more here. Especially
the score too.
Yeah, all of it was great, and then the song at the end, it was so like
heartbreaking,
sorrowful.
Yeah.
So, it was so sorrowful, and so.
Yeah, it was really good.
The cinematography in the show, I think, is cool. I don't know if it's just being helped by my television because it's an OLED TV, but man, it looks good. It's a really nice show to watch.
It's really well put together as well. Like, even just the little effects that they do, like the different aspect ratio changes to show, you know, the passage of time as technology changes and all of that. I thought that was really cool. And the acting was stellar throughout. I know we've spoken about this at length, but it really was. Like, it's just all around a really, really great show.
I think that as far as film goes, because I know this is a show, but as far as film goes, I think that this did all the things it's supposed to do. It's a tragedy, right?
Yeah.
And it's a show that has really good storytelling, really compelling storytelling, cool cliffhangers between each episode, fantastic acting, fantastic cinematography, questionable green screen from time to time, but we'll just set that aside. Music's great, with the exception of like one actor. Like, all of the entire cast was fantastic and well picked. All the lessons, all the little parables in the show are great, because like, you walk away and you just think, and you start to analyze it and apply it to your own life and go, oh, that's what, and you walk away kind of a better person after watching the show, because you think to yourself, what would I want to do? How do I want to live my life after watching something like this? What philosophy am I going to take with me when I go on? That's a big thing for me when it comes to storytelling, is what am I learning from this? Is it just mindless entertainment? That's most of what's out there.
Right.
Most of what's in the library of whatever streaming service you subscribe to. It's just popcorn. It's just fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I love stuff like this where it's like you get this compelling drama and you learn something. And you feel something. You know, and it's a lot to take away from
I honestly
the show.
Wasn't expecting to feel as emotional as I did at the very end. And I think it's because they've set up the show so well and the characters so well that like I really felt for his family.
Yeah,
you know? Like
they had his back too.
Yeah, they had his back, and then to kind of ultimately end the show on this idea of like family is what really matters, you know, after all this, after like making all the money, being the richest guy ever in India or whatever, you know, and losing it all, he still found solace and contentment and happiness in his family, and there were those really lovely moments. Like I was really happy that Jyoti had more awesome moments with him, you know, because like I really cared about that relationship. And you could see, you know, how much he loved her and how much she loved him, and like you were saying, I love that part in the episode where he's accepted that he's gonna have to go back to jail, and his brother is like trying to help him with the medicine and all that, and be like, hey, you got to take care of yourself, got to do this, got to do that, and then like right before Ashwin leaves, Harshad just like grabs his arm and they hug, and it was like a really lovely moment, you know, and so you feel all of that like.
That was the last time they had contact, right?
Yeah, was it?
I think that was the last time.
I assume that they must have seen each other in jail, or like
Well,
he must have come to visit.
But as far as the show goes,
yeah,
that was the last time they had contact. That was the last time they saw each other.
Yeah, and it was just like this really lovely, like tight hug.
Because he knew he was going. That's the thing, is he knew he was out of time. This is a lot of speculation on my part, but I wonder if he neglected to take his medicine because he was just over it.
Oh, do you think so?
I don't know, but there seemed to be some indication of that.
Well, because his brother was like, "Oh, don't flush it down the toilet like you did when you were a kid."
That's exactly it.
Yeah,
like that's what makes me think he sort of just gave up on himself. It's like he was destroyed. The system beat him.
Yeah, he said he was tired. He's like, "I just want to rest." I was like, "Oh no, you don't."
Yeah.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's foreshadowing. It's all foreshadowing. That's good writing.
Yeah.
You know, like we as an audience know, we get a sense that it's going to happen, even if the characters in the show itself don't realize what's going on.
You know what's so interesting is that the show did a really good job of giving you hope.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the last episode, I thought, oh wow, he beat the system. Like he's gonna come out okay. He's
gonna take down the prime minister. Like, no, you can't. This is Asia. Don't do that.
Right. But I mean, he didn't have enough. He didn't keep his records. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is like he admitted that he just didn't have the records to prove anything. So it's all hearsay, speculation, and could be made up. His word against his.
Yeah, I mean, they were saying that maybe he was flip-flopping because, you know, the government was all like, "Oh, we'll keep you safe now, but you have to retract and backtrack and blah blah blah."
Well, you're dealing with a giant.
Yeah, it's like a David and Goliath moment right there.
Yeah, except in this instance, David doesn't. He can't see the power he has at all. He just sees that he can get squished.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to survive. You're trying to make sure your family's going to be okay. It wouldn't surprise me at all if his family was threatened and he's just trying to make sure they're going to be all right.
Yeah.
So it's like he's going to take on the burden of all this nonsense with the CBI to keep his family okay. I don't know. There's all kinds of speculation that you could do from this because the show's only giving you like a window, a little thing to look through. I'm sure there's conspiracy theories around all that has happened here.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But anyway.
We haven't spoken about... I just want to shout out my favorite little cute moment in this episode, which was the proposal and the marriage between Debashish and Sucheta. I just thought they were such a cute couple, like as the show was going on, and like I could tell that he was like well into her, and she's all like, you know, sleeping on his shoulder on the plane and stuff. I'm like, God, why aren't you guys together already? And then they satisfied me. I don't even know if that's like was just added in for the sake of, you know, having a cute little romance in the show, but it worked for me, and I thought it was really, really sweet.
The one thing I wish that we saw, and maybe it's just because it didn't happen in real life, was something that came as a result of that conversation that Sucheta had on the couch with Harshad, which is, he says, you know, your informant might have been a plant. They might have been using you.
Right, and she got mad.
And she got mad and walked out.
Yeah.
That never came full circle, even though I guess that was the end of the circle. I was hoping that there was more to it, where she has a realization that she was used. Because that's what happened. This whole thing was engineered to take him down, and it was successful. At least as far as the show is concerned, it was all engineered to take him out, to make him the scapegoat, and it worked. Because he's really... Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, like, what's that supposed to say about, like, the common man who rises up? What's that message there? Is it that if you are that common man that rises up, gets successful, then what? Then the big guys try and come and tear you down?
I think the message is be vigilant as you grow.
Yeah.
Just be vigilant. There is a YouTube channel that I am aware of, and just as I started to gain some success, an MCN came along, a very powerful MCN came along and said, hey, we want to sign you. And then they did. They signed with that MCN because they're like a giant company, like, oh my gosh, they're going to offer you this and that potentially. That MCN didn't do jack shit for that YouTuber and ended up taking a significant portion of their earnings for 2 years without really giving anything back until that YouTuber was able to get out of that contract. And that YouTuber couldn't do a damn thing against them. They were just too powerful.
Right.
Like, what are you going to do, take them to court? Like, what are you going to do? It is part of a big company. And so it's just, you just got to be vigilant. I'm paying attention to that scene where that guy took his own life because he lost all his money as a result of listening to HARSHAD MEHTA.
Yeah.
And what I take away from that is, you got to be careful. You got to guard your money wisely. You can't just trust any old person and throw all of your money into this thing.
Be careful of who you listen to. Like, don't put all your money in on a gamble.
Yeah. A long time ago, I went to a bank because I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I got all excited about real estate. I was trying to figure out how to get into it. And I went to this banker, and he was like, look, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad also. I'm very well aware of it. What he doesn't talk about is a mattress. I'm like, what? He goes, a mattress of savings. You got to have something. You are trying to invest in this property, but you got nothing to back you up. That's dangerous. This is being told to me as an 18-year-old who, got wide-eyed and, ready to take on the world. And I didn't know shit. I read this one book, and now I want to go and conquer everything and just throw all of myself into this debt on a property without even really understanding the real estate market. You got to do your homework, especially when it comes to your money, because that's another lesson to take from the show is like, you just got to be careful. Even with someone like HARSHAD MEHTA, I got something in my eye that's bugging the crap out of me. Even with someone like HARSHAD MEHTA, who anyone who's like really, really smart with their money and have had a lot of success, I've had situations where I was dealing with people who looked like they were very successful, and they were trying to get me to do something and put myself on the line. And I had to stop and go into my vigilant self and go, no, they're trying to fuck me.
No, I've definitely had those moments as well, and I can always tell because they're always like, are you ready? Are you ready? Like, do you just want to sign this thing right now?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's when the red flags go off and I go, hold on.
Yeah.
I'm going to go away and I'm going to think about this. And then I leave after all the excitement and bells and whistles and bright shininess disappears. I'm like, yeah, no, that's not good.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot to take away from this show, and my biggest thing to you guys is just be vigilant as much as you can when it comes to your money. Just be vigilant. People are going to try to get you to do this or get you to do that. You just got to be careful.
Yeah, I used to work for a financial, I forget what it's called exactly, but they were all like, they would always say to the clients, don't put your eggs all in one basket.
Right.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I was even
diversify.
Yeah, I was even talking to a family member today because they were asking me about crypto, and I was like, look, it's volatile. At least have, a certain amount of your money going into index funds, which is a little bit more stable.
Yeah.
At least put some of your money there. Like I would say have savings, index funds, crypto.
Yeah.
Those I think those are the 3 ways to do it. It's just, yeah, you got to be careful. Anyways, you guys, hopefully you enjoyed that. Sorry if this was long and rambly, but hopefully you enjoyed the conversation nonetheless.
This was an awesome show.
And another shout out and thank you to the patrons who were able to watch the show along with us on Patreon. I'm Jaby KOAY. This is
ACHARA KIRK.
Peace out.